Hi, this is Steph again, and now for something completely different. Uh, if you live in an area, I live in Pennsylvania, and sorry, my one cat here is knocking all kinds of stuff over. So if you hear weird noises like that, um, anyway, I don't want this to sound patronizing to anyone. It's not my intention at all. But these were things that I never thought of, like way back, when I first got my license and, um, 16. And when I got into EMS, that's when I started thinking about, like things to carry in my vehicle. I mean, I carry first aid kits, and for obvious reasons, even though I'm a retired paramedic, I still have, the knowledge in my head, and I know how to render care, and I will if I pass an accident and there's no one there, or even if there is people there. um, I've done that already. And I had a lady, I walked up to her and I said, can I give you guys a hand? I had my little kid. I told her I was, paramedic, ex paramedic, whatever. And she was really nasty. She got right up in my face and she's like, no, we were just fine here. And in the meantime, there was a girl sitting on the ground. We saw the accident happen. We were pulling into a Sheetz gas station, and there was a girl on the ground, and she's like holding her head and rocking. And even though there's all these EMS people around, there wasn't anyone doing anything for this poor girl, because I'm looking beyond this lady who's in my face telling me they have everything under control, and I'm looking at this poor girl, thinking, she might kind of have a head injury. I'm not saying it's really severe, but I don't know. Maybe you should go talk to her and, I don't know, take her blood pressure, and maybe you want to hold her head in line until you determine whether she might have a neck injury. But hey, what do I know, right? But that's not the topic of. I don't even know how I got off on that. I always get off on a tangent. I'm sorry, but um. So anyway, I don't have it here to physically show you, but you shouldn't need to see this stuff. But um, first, I wanted to say there's things that everyone should carry in your vehicle, like year round. Like if okay, first of all, I wanted to say if you're ever like in a fender bender, if you're blocking traffic, if you can get your vehicles, at least off to the side on the shoulder or whatever, um, that's always a good thing. Instead of sitting there blocking up traffic. If the vehicles are movable, and if everyone's okay, and it's just a little ding or something, try to get your cars moved. But with that having been said, um, in our truck, and this thing's like super old. I don't even know where we got it from, and I think it came from the Red Cross. It's like a prepackaged kit for, like, if your vehicle breaks down. And there's all kinds of stuff in there. There's some extra things we added, um, but basically, everyone in their vehicle, you should have like a reflective vest, because if your car breaks down, and like around here, there's a lot of places where there's no street lights, and it's really really dark at night. Like on my street, I mean, I have lights outside my house. I flip on at night, but when we first moved here, it at night it was just pitch black, and there's a lot of roads around here where it's just like that. So if you break down and then you're just standing there in pitch black, you don't want to get hit by someone. So if you can find one of those reflective vests, or you could probably even make something, if you get like some reflective tape, and maybe get a heavy garbage bag or something. Just use your imagination, or I think they sell them at like Harbor Freight. um I have a whole bunch of them, and I don't know where this stuff comes from. It just seems to show up in my house. But we have a reflective vest in there. There's a flashlight. Now, I don't really recommend keeping the batteries in the flashlight, like, long term. Of course, I'm kind of guilty of that. I have one in my first aid kit that has batteries in it. I should check it, because, it gets that white, whatever that stuff is, and then you get, your batteries won't work. Sometimes I'm good at giving advice and not taking it myself. But, so, you don't have to buy a pre-made kit if that's easier for you. I'm sure you can look on Amazon. They sell everything, I guess. I'm not a big Amazon person, but sometimes I have to look on there because it's the only place I can find something. But you want to make sure you have a flashlight, some sort of reflective clothing, a vest or a jacket you can throw on. If you get a jacket, like try to get one with a liner that you can take out, depending on the weather. You want to try to get those little triangles, those reflective things, and you can put them like behind your vehicle, and maybe one in front, just so someone's driving up there, their headlights will reflect off of that. And again, this is mostly like, I know it's common sense stuff, but like I said, like when I was younger, it's stuff I never thought about. And like I said, I got into rescue work, and it was like, oh yeah, this might be a good idea to, have some things around, in case, especially like there was a time that, this is sort of irrelevant, but I was young. I don't even know if I was a teenager or in my 20s, but I think I was on the highway and I got a flat tire, and I thought, all right, well, I can do this. I have that big lug wrench or whatever it's called, and got that thing out and stuck it on the lug nuts and started to turn it, and they wouldn't budge. So next thing I tried is I had a small Ford Ranger pickup truck, so I grabbed the side of the bed of the truck and I got up on the lug wrench and I was like trying to jump on it, and I still couldn't budge them. The first time I ever tried to change a tire, and I was just a little, I'm only 5'5", and I was like 125 pounds. I was like a size 9 back then, a little thinner than I am now, but I'm standing on the side of the highway. This is way back before anyone had cell phones or anything. And so I'm like just standing there going, well, great. I don't know if I had AAA, but I wouldn't have had any way to call them. So somebody came along. I know it was a man. I don't know if it was like a state trooper or just some guy who was nice enough, but somebody came along and changed my tire. But, these things do happen. And I realize these days everyone has a cell phone. But the thing is, if you would happen to break down, even if you can call someone, you might have to wait a while, and you don't want someone to hit you or hit your car. You want some light. In fact, I'm going to show you. Sorry about that. I meant to have this in my hand, but we got these at Rural King. And, I realize probably not everyone has a Rural King, but if you have a similar place, or you could probably look online, these are great because the bottom is magnetic. So, you could stick it somewhere on your car, like on the hood or wherever, and then they bend, and you have the flashlight, a regular flashlight, and then you have this side that lights up. So, like, you could stick it on your car and bend it over just to get a little light or whatever. But these things are great. I have several of these, and I hang this hook. I have a nail. There's a beam that runs across the top of my living room here, and I have one hanging there. I keep one out in the kitchen. I keep one upstairs. And as far as flashlights in my car, I think I have one of these, but I also have 2 in my medical kits. I've got 2 regular flashlights laying here on the floor. I have 2. I'm kind of like a flashlight junkie, I guess. I'm just realizing maybe I need to go for therapy, but I got 2 of these little mini ones. I got flashlights everywhere. But anyway, plus candles and, And that's the other thing. If you have, Mike always used these, I think they're called power inverters, and I don't have one to show you here because he had so many battery things. I don't know what's what, but somehow I guess they run off the car, and it has a plug, you can plug things in. Now, I don't know if they're strong enough to run like a little tiny space heater. Like I have a little space heater, it's just a little square one. And I guess I should try that. I have a friend coming over Saturday to help me with some stuff around here. Maybe he can show me how these things work. There's one in the truck. It's just I don't know. Mike never told me these things, so I don't know. I don't know half the things that I own. I don't know what to do with them or or how to work them. But um, so you could get a power inverter, and you could at least maybe plug in a small heater. I don't know if they're strong enough to power those. I know we lost power once for like 3 days, and we had a gas stove, and even though it had electric ignition, you didn't need that because you could just turn the gas on and stick a match in there, and you'd at least get the flame. So we were able to cook, and he had a power inverter in the car, and the car we parked like right beside our apartment. So he had one of those mechanics lights, those like rounded, they have kind of a cage on them and a hook. Excuse me. And so he plugged that into the inverter with an extension cord, and he ran that little mechanic light into our apartment. So we had light. We didn't have any heat. We were freezing. We were sitting there with bundles of blankets over us. And we just took everything out of the fridge and put it out on the porch, while one of our neighbors was running around saying he couldn't find ice anywhere. Mike was out there scooping the snow into a cooler, for the things we wanted to keep inside. But anyway, so that's the other thing. Like, I don't know if you can run a heater in your vehicle if it breaks down, but make sure you have some blankets. And I carry little emergency blankets. You can order these off Amazon. It looks like tinfoil, and it comes in a little pack. They're about this big, so they're really nice because they're real small. And what they do is they just reflect the body heat. You just wrap it around you, and your body heat will reflect, especially if you have like babies or elderly people that are in your car, because they don't thermoregulate as well as normal. Well, I wouldn't say I'm normal, but as well as the rest of us do. So especially if you have a baby or a toddler, whatever, or an elderly parent, or whatever, you want to make sure you have some kind of heat source. And you can order probably a couple emergency blankets for not much money. I don't know exactly. I never really prepare for these things. Something will just pop into my head, and I go, oh, I should go talk about that, and I'm never prepared. But I'm sure you can find money on Amazon, and I wouldn't go to like an EMS supplier, because you will pay an arm and a leg for everything. It's just way, way overpriced. But so you want to have a source of heat. Blankets, comforters are good because they're nice and thick, or a couple quilts, a nice wool blanket, like you can kind of layer them. And most people have room, like in your trunk, if you fold up a couple blankets and stick them in there, and then get yourself a little bag. Go to a thrift shop. It don't have to be anything special. It could be an old duffel bag, a tote bag, anything that you can just throw a bunch of stuff in there. And make sure you have a source of light. So heat, source of light. You might want to throw a couple bottles of water in there, depending on how many people that are typically in your car. Like for me, it's usually just me now. So, maybe 2 bottles. If I would happen to have my dogs with me, which I usually don't because they're like insane in the vehicle, and they probably would cause me to wreck. And yes, I'm talking somebody like that's my producer over there, and she works really hard, as you can see. She has her blanket and everything, and so that's my dog Honey. My dog Rascal just came in, but he's on the other side of the camera, so you'll have to wait. And I can't make him do anything. He just does things when he wants, because he really needs a bath right now. But I'm not going to try and get him in the tub, because he won't go. But anyway, I'm sorry. It's probably really hard for people to track what the hell I'm even talking about, because I just go off. I'm sorry. It's just the way my mind works. And I'm getting ready to go to the Y. We didn't get there last year, and I feel so bad because Mike was really wanting to get to the Y this year. He'd like to do like a little bit of weightlifting, and he'd get in the pool and not swim the way I do, but he'd swim laps, but real slowly. And it's probably going to be really hard for me to walk in there, but I'm sorry. It's still very hard, folks. I'm really trying here, but there's like his boots are still over here, and I can't bring myself. I still trip over him like I used to. I'd always be yelling at him like, "Oh, can you please put your boots like behind your chair or under the table so I'm not constantly falling over him." And it's funny the things that you find out, you thought were so annoying, and then you find yourself at a point where you actually miss those things. But anyway, so getting back to a kit for in your car, and I need to plug my battery in, so I will talk while I'm fumbling around with my battery cord here. So to recap, emergency kit for if you're in a cold area like I am. You want lighting, heat, some water, and you might want to throw some kind of food in there. I'm not saying load up on, bags of potato chips and Cheetos and whatever, but, throw like a couple protein bars, snack bars, or, something that'll keep in there and that you could just open if you're stuck for an extended period of time. At least you have something to nibble on. You have some water. I also carry a dog dish around in my car. And I also carry a leash, and I can't say TREATS. My code word is potatoes because I haven't caught on to that word yet. I have to keep switching it up. But I do that because if I see a dog running around, I'll try to catch it, and if it has tags, I'll try to get it back to its owner. So that's why I carry the dog food bowl so I can get water. And so if you have an animal, or if you're going to have your animal with you, make sure you have a bowl for them, or two, one for food, one for water. Make sure you have extra water for them, and maybe a little bit of food, like some dry kibble or a can. If you carry the can, though, make sure you put like a little hand crank can opener. But just sit down and think like, okay, like I live in Central PA, and I'm going to drive out to Pittsburgh, which I never have. I've never been in Pittsburgh, and I wouldn't go to Pittsburgh, but I'm just saying. Okay, so if I break down, what might I need? Because it's like right now it's like summer here. It's weird, but I would just want to think like, what might I need if I do break down? And obviously you want to make sure you have a charger for your cell phone, and that's one thing you can use with. Again, I don't know if it's the inverter, or he also bought this battery pack. You can use it to jumpstart something. It has a little air compressor on it, and I believe that also has plugs. And I don't know what that is called, a jump box maybe. But I believe, if I remember, it's out in our garage. It has a plug, where you can put like a phone charger in there. Because the worst thing you want to do is break down and go, well, I'll just call someone, and then you go, uh-oh, I don't have any way to charge the phone. Okay, so that's for like cold weather, or even in the heat, minus the blankets, you still want to have some light and some food and water and so forth. Now, for just generally breaking down, like I said, a reflective vest, this would be for year-round and for anybody. Some little triangles, or, something reflective to put where your car is broken down so people can see you. Again, a flashlight. Yeah. I would say flares, but the problem with flares is, number one, they're burning. And, if someone drives by and flings a lit cigarette out there, I'm not sure how that works, but I guess that probably wouldn't really have an interaction. It's more the fumes, like gasoline and stuff, but you never know what's laying on a roadway, and I'm just not real keen on things burning where there might be, gasoline all over the road or whatever. I've seen cops get out at accident scenes with a cigarette in their mouth, and it's like, could you please put that out before you, like, blow all of us up? Whatever you can gather up. And I put stuff together mostly from thrift shops. I scrounge and I find a lot of first aid stuff there. Unfortunately, people that are maybe in home care and they pass away, and then they have a lot of first aid, bandages and all different kinds of stuff. And you get really good deals at thrift shops. And I live in thrift shop Nirvana. I mean, there's thrift shops everywhere here. But, just throw together a little kit, keep it in your vehicle, in your trunk, or, I have a truck, so I just put things under the seat. And that way, if you do break down, you're not freezing, or you're not thirsty or hungry, or, and like I said, particularly if you are carting around babies, children, and elderly people, because they just cannot regulate their body temperature as well as we can, and I'm getting to that classification. I don't know where elderly starts. I mean, I feel old, but I don't think elderly starts till, in my book, till, I don't know, about 80. Because a lot of people have said, well, since Mike passed, why don't I go down to the senior center, which is just a couple minutes from my house. But every time I drive by there, these people that I see going in, they're old enough to be my parents. My phone always rings. They're clumping in there with their walkers, and I'm not saying there's anything bad about that. I have a walker. I have to use it sometimes, but I don't know. I just feel like I don't feel like I fit in. I feel more like I would want to work there maybe, but and I don't know what they do. Like, I'm not a big bingo or card person, or I like board games. Mike and I used to play chess, and he was good at it. I think I won once against him. He just had that mind where he could think a couple moves ahead. And I would think I was making a really, so I'd be like, oh, I'm going to get him with this one. And then, boom, he'd just take out my piece. And I was like, how do you do that? And then we'd play backgammon, which is like a simpler game, I think. And I would always just wipe his, with those games. But anyway, fond memories. So I went way longer as usual, but, please just think about that when you're out and about. It doesn't cost that much money, and, if you don't ever need it, that's fine, but, if you need it and you don't have it, then you might think, gee, it's really, really cold, my car is broken down, I only way to stay warm. So I just kind of wanted to put a little public service announcement out, I guess, and so I hope you'll put some kits together and put them in your car. It doesn't take much time, energy, or money, and it might just be very useful or life-saving, actually. So that's it for today. Thank you, and I will see you again.